This program contains true stories of rescues. All of the 911 calls you will hear are real. Whenever possible, the actual people involved have helped us reconstruct the events as they happened. We begin in the pre-dawn hours of March 21st, 1991, on a dark country road in Clackamas County, Oregon. Joe Shapinski was driving east on Highway 26 that night.
I got off work about 2:30 in the morning, and I was heading home. The vehicle passed me doing at least 75, 80 miles an hour. I was thinking to myself, hey buddy, you better slow down. I'd hate to find you on the roadside somewhere.
Dennis Galindo and his wife were awakened by the sound of the accident.
I ran down to the end of the driveway and seen the truck. Flames were coming out of the engine compartment, and it was growing fast.
911, please, fire medical.
Yeah, there's an accident in front of my house.
Okay, it's in front of your house?
The car's on fire, and there's a guy
And the car's on fire?
And there's a guy inside the car.
Okay, we'll have someone there as soon as we can.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Engine 252, rescue 251.
Volunteers from the Hoodland Fire Department were dispatched to the scene.
I seen all this debris in the road, mailboxes and broken glass, and then I saw the vehicle. I ran over kind of hesitant, because you never know what you're going to see when you look inside. I was pretty much afraid that that there could be somebody dead in there.
When we continue.
I remember trying to force it open, but the door was just jammed. I had visions of it blowing up.
Come on, we gotta get you out of here.
While driving home from a late work shift, Joe Shapinski spotted a vehicle that was in a shallow gully off the side of the road with its hood in flames and stopped to check if anyone was trapped inside.
Hey, buddy, you okay?
He looked in pretty sad shape. His face was all cut up and bleeding, and the fire was getting pretty intense.
Hang on, buddy. I'm gonna get some help.
Joe ran to the nearest house to call for help.
I grabbed the fire extinguisher and ran back out. I seen the guy laying over on the passenger seat. He was completely out of it. His face was full of blood, and his nose was completely wide open. I could see right into his nostril. I remember trying to force it open, but the door was just jammed. This time the flames were coming up the windshield. It was getting hotter. I had visions of it blowing up.
Hey, man, come on, we gotta get
And that's when another guy come out of the dark. Just a miracle, 'cause I was going to need help.
Come on. Hey, we gotta get him out of here. Come on, man.
I tried putting out the fire, and it didn't have any effect. It just seemed to keep getting larger and larger.
2509, you're responding to a single vehicle accident. It is on fire. There are people trapped. And we are still getting calls. We are putting Lifeline on standby at 212.
9 months pregnant with twins, Kelly Galatz was waiting for her husband Chris, a steel worker and volunteer firefighter.
That night I was staying with my mother because Chris was going to be working late.
This is it?
I started having labor pains, and we made arrangements that if I was to go into labor, I could go through the fire department and they would have him paged.
You could see the flames coming up through the floorboard. It was going to blow up or be engulfed in flames, so we just dove in.
I know whenever somebody's in an accident, moving them could damage him for life. But it was get him out or let him die. And I don't think I could have stepped back and listened to him scream to death from the fire.
Come on, man. You gotta get him out of here. Oh, let's go. Let's do it.
My worst nightmare during this whole thing was the moment when he got hung up.
The foot stuck. Come on. Hey. Hey, man. Oh, man, he's bad shape.
I thought this guy was going to have some major, serious problems. I was shaking the rest of the night.
You're all right.
A few moments after we got him out, I looked back and it kind of went kaboom, and the whole thing was just engulfed. It was just a big fireball.
Okay, thanks. They said that he was probably on a call, that there was an accident, so they were going to try to get a hold of him there.
Whenever he comes back. Great.
Hoodland Fire Captain Ron Martin arrived on the scene within 7 minutes of the call.
He had quite a bit of facial trauma.
I'd like you to hold his head and neck.
I bent down and I told him that I was with the fire department.
With the fire department.
He reached up and grabbed my arm.
Just hold on.
And I patted him on the hand and I said, "We're going to help you."
Command, CCOM.
Command, this is CCOM.
According to...
While Ron Martin relayed information to the Clackamas County 911 Center, the fire department was attempting to locate Kelly's husband, Chris.
We have a guy out on the emergency right now whose wife just called. She thinks she's going into labor.
Well, let me make sure I'm understanding. One of the guys that's out on this accident scene...
She believes he's out there.
Do we have a name of the person that we're trying to reach?
Yeah. Chris Galatz, G-A-L-A-T-Z.
When firefighter EMT Barbara Matheson arrived, she took charge of the victim's care.
Get backwards, C-collar section. Get on this guy right away.
The patient's face was completely covered with blood. His nose was split down the middle and laid on either side of his face. It was some of the most severe facial trauma I'd ever seen, and it was highly disturbing because I had never seen trauma like that on a viable patient anyway.
Where's that backwards? Come on, let's get down.
CCOM Command. Command. Yes, sir. Can you advise or try and ascertain for us if you have a firefighter Galatz on the scene?
Negative, CCOM.
In the event that he should arrive on the scene in private vehicle, would you advise him to call home emergency?
Copy, CCOM.
This officer come up and he looked at me and says, "Do you know whose vehicle that is?" And I said, "Who?" And that's when he said, "Chris Galatz's." All of a sudden, something just dropped into my stomach, and that vision went into my head of him grabbing my arm.
Hi, this is 2509.
Hi.
Listen, don't worry about Chris Galatz. This is for your information only. No pass on. He was the one involved in the accident.
Oh, fuck. His wife is having babies.
I know.
Ron came over to us and said, "You guys, this is Chris." And we couldn't believe it. But looking into his face, I didn't recognize Chris at all. And I emotionally went on a roller coaster trying to reconcile the fact that this was one of our fellow firefighters that was lying here.
If Dennis and Joe had not reacted as quick as they did, Chris would have been dead. There's no way we could have rescued him because it was fully involved when we arrived. I did wonder if that was the last time I was going to see Chris alive. He's an expecting father, and he may never see his babies. And even if he does live, what kind of person is he going to be?
As 25-year-old Chris Galatz was transported by Lifeline to Oregon Health Sciences University Hospital in Portland, his wife Kelly was told he had been in a serious accident.
I didn't know what to expect. I thought that he was going to die. I didn't think I was going to see him again. I didn't think he was going to see the twins be born.
As soon as doctors determined Kelly was not yet in labor, she went to be with Chris.
It didn't even look like Chris. He was unrecognizable. But it was a relief when I found out that it was just his face. I mean, I expected a lot worse. So I felt that we were both pretty lucky.
Chris was treated for severe facial fractures and released after 5 days.
2 days later, the twins were born. And the hospital fixed him up a little bed on the couch, and he was recuperating next to me where I was recuperating with twins on each side. And there are just hospital patients everywhere in the room. Chris's face is a little different than it used to be, but I think Chris is still very cute.
When I see my kids today, I think how lucky I have been to survive this whole ordeal. I owe a lot to Joe and Dennis. You know, if they wouldn't have been there, I probably wouldn't be here today.
They had an award ceremony for Joe and Dennis at the fire department, and it was very emotional. Everybody cried. Joe and Dennis are my heroes. I have no way to tell them how much I appreciate everything that they've done and how I'm glad that they were there.
This is some really good pizza. I didn't do anything more than I would want somebody to do for my wife, kids, or myself.
This whole picture would be different if Chris wasn't there. He would have never got to see his two beautiful little girls, and it just feels good that he's there.